Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Should I share my screen?
Yes, please, if you may. And while you are preparing, let me introduce you. Taigi leiskite pristatyti docentę Melinda Harlov-Csortán iš Vengrijos, su kuria susipažinau gal prieš 8 metus, sujungė mus bendras pomėgis istorijai ir mes mokėmės įvairių dalykų Lenkijoje susitikę ir paskui nuolat keliavom vienas pas kitą į konferencijas, taigi sena draugystė ir kaip papasakau apie šią konferenciją, kurią organizuoja institutas, tai jinai iš karto sakė, labai noriu dalyvauti, nes noriu triuką papasakoti. Taigi radom bendrą temą, kuri mus visus jaudintų ir ta tema būtų apie Catherine Gielgud tetos mamą, apie Zitą Gordon. Taigi pavadinimas skamba Zitos Gordon Gielgud gyvenimas iki ir po santuokos su Luisu Gelgaudu. Jinai buvo Luiso Gelgaudo žmona. Na ir apie tai daugiau sužinosime pranešimo metu, taigi nekantru, įdomu, negirdėtos temos. So I just introduced you and I announced the presentation in Lithuanian, what we're going to talk about, and now it's your full on and just you can start any minute you are ready, okay? Could you make through the whole screen the presentation if it's possible?
It is full screen at my side.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's... Yes, you know, Melinda, yes, this one. Could you press? Bravo. Push. Yes, press. No, it's not working. Okay, let's just keep going as you are ready.
A diavetítésre kellene menni, és az első diától.
She can't hear you. Okay, let's start.
At least it's full screen at my side, and I hope it goes through all the way to where you are. Should I start?
No, it's okay. Please keep going.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone, and it's my pleasure to be invited and be online with you. Being the last presenter, and also Martin has introduced my field of right 20th century. I'm not going to show you, as you can see on the images, any sign of 16th or 15th century, but we are going to jump to the 20th century. And also it is a very big honor to speak about Zita Gordon in front of her beloved daughter. I would like to turn our attention from nobility as signs of 15th century to the noble virtues that might or might not be present in the 20th century. So as you could see, this doesn't change the slide either, right? Marius?
Your slides is not moving.
Okay. Would you be so kind to, if I send you the link?
I think you can go down like this, okay? Just don't make show. Just go down manually, okay? Without...
Okay, and now you see the second slide.
Yes, now we see the second slide, yes.
Okay, sorry for the technical problems.
Okay.
So, as a historian and with a social historian and also heritage researcher, I am more interested into what we can do with the life story. So I'm going to show you my sources on the right-hand side and the possible directions that help to understand a whole big screen of possible research and also interesting stories from one life story. So my sources is, as you can see on the image, the book that was published in the early 90s, the memoir of Zita Gordon herself, written by or titled by Noel Pelly. It was also published in Hungarian, a bit related. And I must admit, not the best translation, but still we do have some information from from this one. The second image with the drawing of the earth as a lady is Gordon Zitos' publication herself about the travelings she had and experienced. I also use secondary literature to contextualize, to understand the 20s and 30s theater life and all the background from where Zitos Gordon entered the life, married life with Luisu Gelgaudu. And also there were many publications, unfortunately much more at the time of her life rather than nowadays, about her life, which was really interesting to see that even in the 70s and 80s there were many publications in Hungary that was dealing with her life and her activities, so she was not forgotten in Hungary at all. So what we can do about one person's life without going into gossip stories and everything like that. I think through a microcosm history of a lifetime, you can understand historical events and times. It's very interesting to see how one person, not a historian, see the event around himself or herself. You can also analyze, and that's my main point, the transformation of the social role of nobility, which was happening throughout her life. Also, we can identify in social networks because she and her husband had a very wide range of networks, which connections and friendships that helped her throughout her life. And also coming from Hungary, I think it's also very important to emphasize that through these life stories, we can overcome this general knowledge of East European and West European history, or North and South dichotomy of history, and we can't understand the other side till even in the 21st century. I think through these personal stories and life stories, we can go beyond these dichotomies. And also, another main point is pointing out the inherited values and approaches, how even though everything changed around us, still certain values and a way of dealing with life can be inherited, and then heritage studies comes. So what are the commonalities, if I can point out a few, between Luisu Gelgaudu and Zitos Gordon? Their marriage was not so long, but still I think it's very important that they had a lot of similarities, which ensures their good relationship. Both families had strong connection to theaters and acting. The brother of Luis is a famous actor. Also, her mother has relations to theaters. And Zitos Gordon was one of the first person in the family who became actress, and that was also a very strong point of her own identity. Both of them were taught many languages, which we can say, nobility at the time had that. But for example, Zitos Gordon was ensured to have this international open-mindedness by sending, by their family sending her to foreign countries to learn even, and spending time at a very early age in different countries. They, coming from the nobility, learned the social life and etiquette. It's very interesting to read about Zitos Gordon's memoirs of how the different etiquettes of different countries are sometimes helping her to understand the life and the way of communicating, and sometimes it was rather challenging for her even. One important thing that we usually forget about the nobility and this early 20th century history is that the management knowledge of how to deal with different people, how to arrange the properties and stuff are still in the hands of the nobility. So they know it. For example, Zitos Gordon was always very famous based on her memoir, her knowledge of counting, her mathematics or memory of different locations were outstanding, even though her, education was not focused on these fields, but by the fact that she was taken with her father to different routes of managing the properties, her knowledge was instantly increased in these fields as well. One other important thing is the feeling of responsibility, which I think is a very important part of early 20th century nobility as well. They had felt responsible for the community they are part of, and also they were really ready to act, and that was being shown later on their course of their lives. And open-mindedness, I meant that both of them had many marriages, and they didn't continue this traditional marriage idea of Catholic ideas of marrying for a lifetime, but they were open-minded that if things goes in another way, then it's okay to be aparted. We have to emphasize that in Hungary, even the mid-20th century, divorce was not really a common thing, but it was very well managed by both sides, and I think this was also part of their open-mindedness and knowledge of these international practices. So I'm not going to show you different histories, but continue to by focusing on these noble virtues. And one interesting thing before going to that is both of them had this very strong publication, Luisu Gelgaudu and Zitos Gordon had this publication interest, which came even before. Luisu Gelgaud's mother, Kate Gelgaudu, as you could see, had published an autobiography, but also Luisu Gelgaudu had many translations and literary pieces. He had a very strong relationship with Mr. Huxley, and they shared different literary pieces with each other, but of course their official documentations and knowledge and documents are very important. Zitos Gordon had their autobiography, their travel reports, and as well as she wrote regularly to Hungarian publications as well as the BBC. In her memoir, she mentions numerous dramas she wrote during the war, and it was published by or through BBC, even though I haven't found any reports or data on that in other sites, so I have to check on that to get more information about that. Without some question, Zitos Gordon's life was involved in acting, theater, film, and ballet, as you could see. From a very early age, she left home consciously and decided to become an actress. She was very successful, although not too many times she had to, increase her fame. She played in a few films at the early ages of the 30s, but then after marrying Louis, of course, her acting role becoming a secondary for a while, but as you can see in the 80s, she became part of the show as well, and participated on acting and participated on screen as well. Third is a very important part of their connections, and I'm sorry for these graphic designs. Unfortunately, I didn't find good materials for that, but I wanted to emphasize that, as I said earlier, the involvement in managing properties at the early age of Zita, I am sure that she learned a lot of knowledge about how managing things needed to be done, and that knowledge and experience helped her becoming one of the first manager of her daughter later on. It was amazing to read about her participation in the board services as well. There was no question about that she's doing that as well as Luis was involved in the UNESCO and the Red Cross later on as well. They were nothing special, just one of the servicewomen and servicemen, which I think is very important to show that there was no. It was even very unique because the Gordon served in the UK Army, so for them even serving the country is rather not for a national good, but much rather for peace and common good, which I think is a very important aspect we have to know. And also supporting family members and their friends, meaning that it was not just, of course, at the wife of a diplomat, and then later her second husband was also fulfilling diplomatic roles. She had to manage a lot of events and organize dinners and stuff, which is a really important part of the wives at that time, but she continued to have this supporting role for her daughter, and not just for her daughter, but later she participated in other organizing events when friends or acquaintances or young artists were supported by her connections and friendships. I think it's a very important question that after having such a vivid life during a vivid time of history, what kind of connections and belongings she kept and important, especially looking from our nowadays work. I'm starting with the second one, institutional connections. She worked for UNESCO during her life for many years, and I chose these stems because she started her position or role at the shop of UNESCO where different souvenirs were sent, and she started from there going to fulfilling by different positions. At the end, in her memoir, she didn't have a very good relationship with the institution, so, but I am not sure about this. Still, serving a better good is an important point, and using her international connections and foreign languages knowledge is important as well. I find it especially very stunning how she felt connected to different countries by living there, by working there, by serving these different countries, and it is very trendy nowadays to say being European without any border or connections, but I think she was really a bird person without any strong national belonging in a way that it wasn't bordering her to certain connections, but she could travel and she could get connected to different people, and it's not just because of her amazing knowledge of different languages. Roles and persons and friendships. One other outstanding moment by reading her memoirs and the other sources I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation is that she was once a shop assistant, and she was also fulfilling with the same involvement and full-heartedness a mother, also a manager, also a wife of a diplomat, and many times she mentioned that meeting with the same people in different roles was not really challenging for her, but truly providing different experience of people's connections and how these different roles and persons and friendships can be combined. I think this is one important lesson that we could learn even today. So, if I'm jumping very fast because I know you're all very tired after a long day of discussions. What are the noble virtues of the 20th or in the 20th and 21st century, what we can learn based on this micro-history is, on one hand, there are certain values and virtues that we should or can keep. This is supporting art or providing service for greater good, also being international and open-minded. And also one thing which I think it's a lesson from all of us, that we should be open to modernization and modern ideas and not close to it. And how we can learn and see, I would like to point out to your location at the moment, as far as I know, the castle, which is a noble castle in the 21st century, on one hand keeping all the values and history, but on the other hand being open and modern by providing services for its people. And I think this is one way how we can inherit a family's life, not just through the image of the coat of arms, but also by acting as they act. I would like to thank you all for your attention and wish you a great evening with chats and discussions.
Thank you, Melinda. The audience is applauding you if you can hear it. But please stay online, just to turn off the slides, please. And Aiste, she's also still here. And I will invite now the speakers in front of the audience. And we will have a short questions, answers, or a little discussion. So maybe like, probably like this, or I don't know, please take a seat. May I also ask you, because Aida, shall we take it? Jeigu auditorija jau turi klausimų, tai iškart kelkit ranką, jeigu ne, jeigu reikia dar pavirškinti, tai dar pavirškinkite, kol įsibaigės mūsų pokalbis, nes klausimų laiko kiek turime, tai Melinda, we have some questions here, so the